Hi, I'm Dr. Saqib speaking from my channel Learning Anatomy. And as you know, I am running with you a series of the spinal cord tracts now. And we are now finished with the ascending tracts. So started today with the descending tracts. And in the descending tracts, first of all, we will learn two things. First of all, the first order neurons, the second order neurons, and the third order neurons, and the upper motor neurons and the lower motor neurons. So what are the lower motor neurons? This is called as the common final pathway, and this is the fibers, the neurons coming from the anterior horn of the spinal cord and going to the innervate the skeletal muscles. This is a lower motor neuron, commonly known as the final common pathway. And the upper motor neuron is that coming from the neurons coming from the cerebral cortex and the midbrain, and the pons and the medulla from the brain stem, right? The midbrain, pons, and the medulla, and these are the upper motor neurons. The supraspinal levels situation is there for them, and the first order neurons, right? This is the neurons coming from these cerebral cortex and the midbrain and the pons and the medulla oblongata, that is, these three structures forming the brain stem, and they relay on to the second order neurons, which are the small neurons which are situated in the anterior gray column, interior horn of the spinal cord, internuncial neurons, the second order neurons, and the third order neurons are in the anterior gray column of the spinal cord, right? So we will study the detail of these things gradually. So the lower motor neurons located in the anterior gray columns of the spinal cord send axons to supply innervation to the skeletal muscle via the anterior roots of the spinal nerves. So these are the lower motor neurons, right? These are the lower motor neurons. And these motor neurons are usually referred to as the uh, final common pathway to muscles. This is the this is the skeletal muscle. This is the skeletal muscle, and these are the third order neurons. So this is the final common pathway emerging from this anterior horn of the spinal cord. Then is the you look at that cautiously. This is the lower motor neurons are constantly bombarded by nervous impulses that descend from the cerebral cortex, medulla, pons, midbrain, and also those that enter along sensory fibers via the posterior roots. Right? So I told you already from this picture, right? This one, and no, again, this is written for you for your perusal, for your reiteration, and to fix it into your mind. Nerve fibers that travel downwards in the white matter from different supraspinal nerve centers are sorted out into nerve bundles called descending tracts. And this is our next topic. And today I have to introduce basically to upper motor neurons, lower motor neurons, and the descending tracts, and the three neurons involved in this: first order, second order, the third order. That is the mainstay of the this today's lecture. So nerve fibers travel downwards in the white matter from different supraspinal nerve centers are sorted out into different nerve bundles called descending tracts. So what are these supraspinal nerve centers? These are the cerebral cortex, medulla, pons, midbrain, and these are the supraspinal levels. The supraspinal neurons and their tracts are usually referred to as the upper motor neurons, I told you already. And they give various separate pathways that influence motor activity. So motor activity, the descending tracts, of course, ultimately influence the various motor activities like the pyramidal tracts and the various reflexes, right? Like the reflex arc. So this is the again picture I told you already. So what is the anatomical organization? This is again a little bit detail of the previous thing. Skeletal muscle activity control from the cerebral cortex and rest of the higher centers is carried out via nervous system by a series of neurons. These are the three neurons. Descending pathway from the cerebral cortex is usually composed of three neurons, the first order, second order, and third order neurons. The first order neuron has its cell body located in the cerebral cortex, right? This is the first order neuron and its cell body is located in the cerebral cortex. This is the cerebral cortex and its cell body is located over there. Its axon travel down to synapse on the second order neuron, which is an internuntial neuron. Yes, it's right. So this neuron is coming down and there it's going into the, this is the, second order neuron, which is the internuntial neuron located in the anterior gray column of the spinal cord. And the second order neuron axon is short and synapse with the third order neuron, the lower motor neuron in the anterior gray column of the spinal cord, right? So this is the third order neuron, showed you already. Third order axon provides innervation to the skeletal muscle. This is the skeletal muscle via the anterior root of the spinal nerve. So this is the picture again in the large form, and here you could see the first order, and this is the second order neuron, and this is the third order neuron going sending innervation to the directly to the skeletal muscle. So this is the descending fibers formed by the fibers in the white matter, which control the motor activity. The descending fibers control the motor activity coming from up to the down from the supraspinal level, cerebral cortex and brain stem to the spinal cord. So in some instances, the axon of the first order neuron terminates directly on the third order neuron, as in the reflex arcs. This is another interesting picture. This is an upper motor neuron, right? This is located in the cerebral cortex and the brain stem, right? This is the cell body and the fibers coming down. Then the second order neuron, which is an internuntial neuron. And this is the third order neuron. This is the lower motor neuron or the final common pathway, final common pathway, lower motor neuron or the final common pathway to the skeletal muscle. This is the innervation to the skeletal muscle, right? So this is the thing, and this is, upper motor neuron and the lower motor neuron. I will try to upload a video very soon with you, the lesions of the upper motor neuron and the lower motor neurons separately. So that would be a short video. Very soon I will cover the whole of the spinal cord. In the next two lectures, I will finish up with the descending tracts. In the next, we'll do the pyramidal tract, and in the next, we'll do the other remaining tracts. And the detail of the what are the descending tracts total, the corticospinal tracts or the pyramidal tracts, right? And they have the two parts. I'll show you in the picture: the reticulospinal tracts, the tectospinal tract, vestibulospinal tract, and rubrospinal tract, olivospinal tract, and the descending autonomic fibers. These are the complete list of the descending tracts. And here you see in the picture, first of all is the pyramidal tract, which are the lateral corticospinal tract and the anterior corticospinal tract. So these two, anterior and lateral corticospinal tract, these are the pyramidal tract along with the corticobulbar tracts as well. So these are the rubrospinal tract coming from the red nucleus. So this is the olivospinal tract, and this is the vestibulospinal tract. So some people doubt whether this vestibulospinal tract is a separate tract or not. This has become doubtful. And this is the tectospinal tract. So this is these are the tracts we're going to discuss very soon, right? So I told you now next we'll discuss the pyramidal tract, the lateral and the anterior corticospinal tract. So thank you very much for listening to this short video, and I do look for a long and continuous support from you to subscribe my channel, like, and with the thumbs up, and share it where you can, and be supported maximally. So thank you very much, so much.